everyone, if you're new to my channel, my name is Bethany and I'm so excited that you clicked on this video. I am going to be making Kimberbell's Heartfelt pockets today and they are so sweet. This is the one we are going to be making together. This one says, I don't know what I'd do without you. And you can purchase the little clear candy tubes separately, so I will link those down below as well. You can fill them with whatever you'd like. I did a little pastel M&M, which are out around Easter time. And it is a little pocket, which is really fun. So you can put anything you'd like in this little pocket, but they do fit an A2 sized card. So I just stuck one of those in there for reference, but that's probably what I'm going to be using them for, is a little card and maybe a little treat inside. I made another one as well. This one's called Quilting Friends Keep You in Stitches. And inside the clear tube, I did buttons instead of the candy. You can coordinate and do different things inside of that little clear tube to fit the little theme of the heartfelt pocket. And then you can also put little gifts like little pieces of fabric in here. Again, the A2 card sits perfectly inside. But these are so easy, so beginner friendly. Down in the description box below the video, you're going to find everything you're going to need for this project. You're going to need some felt, which is so easy to work with, and some fabric. Again, everything's linked down below, as well as the designs as well. So go ahead and sit back and relax. I'm so excited to show you how to do these. They are very easy, very beginner friendly, and they turn out so cute. Plus, I'll link the designs down below because they come on a CD, but I believe there are 12 designs, so there's quite a variety. I think there's a graduation one and maybe a Father's Day one, but they're very cute and very easy, and they make for a really, really fun little gift. So as well, you'll find those little clear tubes down in the description box below, so you can have fun filling those and having them coordinate to the little heartfelt pocket that you make. But let's go ahead and get started. Be sure you give this a thumbs up if you're enjoying it, and let's get started making our first little heartfelt pocket. Okay, so these little Kimberbell gift pockets are so easy to make and I am really enjoying them. So I went ahead and purchased this gift pockets design CD and it's amazing. So I went ahead and already made one of them. I actually made the one on the front and I'll show you it later. It's really fun, but for the tutorial today, I'm going to do this little donut one. It's very neat. So it comes with 12 designs on there. I am looking forward to working my way through each and every one of them. They are really fun. It has a really nice variety, and if you are a beginner at machine embroidery, then this definitely is a very, very beginner friendly in the hoop project. So it does also tell you what stabilizer you're going to need at the bottom, and it just lets you know everything that you're going to need, plus their instructions are just impeccable. So their instructions come on the disc as well. Be sure to reference those because they are just impeccable. I'm going to do my best to walk you through it step by step today, but always refer back to those instructions. So in terms of actual supplies that you're going to need, you are going to need some felt. So I'm going to be using Kimberbell's embroidery felt. You can use felt of your choice, but I went ahead and had these on hand, and they were the exact colors that I needed, so I went ahead and used them. I am going to use the French pink, and then I'm going to use the gingerbread in terms of colors. So for the French pink, I have 3 pieces. Again, go ahead and just refer to your instructions for the exact dimensions, and then you can just cut them down with your rotary cutter and have them all prepped and ready. I definitely recommend you just prepping all of your fabrics and felt pieces before you even begin. So, and then I also have that small piece of felt in the gingerbread color, and then I have a couple pieces of fabric. So this is our background fabric. You're just going to choose anything that you'd like. I kind of have a damask stripe. I did back mine with a fusible backing like they recommended. I have recently fallen in love with Kimberbell's fusible backing and it is absolutely amazing. So I really love it and I've really enjoyed putting that on all my projects. It helps with reducing the chances of puckering, as well as this piece is going to lie on top of the pink piece. So what it does is it also gives you an extra barrier so that you don't see through and see that pink quite so noticeably. Another thing I really like about it is it stiffens the fabric up really well. So when you go to use your embroidery scissors to trim it, it trims very, very nicely. Fusible backing, I really recommend it. It's very nice. So for this little piece, this actually for the donut is the frosting, and it actually calls for using an embroidery leather, and I do have Kimberbell's embroidery leather in French pink. However, I just felt like it didn't quite match their French pink at least the two that I had, I didn't think it matched super well. So I really wanted this to look super, super good in the end. So instead of using that embroidery leather, I'm going to go ahead and use my own piece of fabric that I think just lends really, really well to this project. Again, I have fusible backing, but I went ahead and just cut this and didn't apply it yet so I could show you how to do it. It's so, so easy. So there's one side that has a little bit more of a shine to it, and that is the adhesive. What you're going to do is you are simply going to turn over your fabric because you want to iron it on the wrong side. So turn that over, then you're going to locate the side with the adhesive and you are going to place that down on the wrong side of the fabric. And I went ahead and just trimmed this to roughly the exact size of my piece of fabric. Then you're simply going to iron it on, and there you go. It's super, super easy. Again, it really stiffens that fabric. It helps reduce puckering. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the only other thing you're going to need, actually two other things, are you're going to need a piece of ribbon. I believe they have you trim it to 12 inches. And then you are going to need these really, really cute sweet tubes. Now, I found these on Amazon. I'll go ahead and link them down below for you. They come empty, but I went ahead and filled this one for the donut one with some pretty little Easter themed M&Ms. I thought they were really, really cute. So I have that all ready to go. Other than that, I just have my Kimberbell embroidery tape, and then I have my Kimberbell scissors plus a couple other scissors in here, but just some embroidery scissor supplies handy. Let's go ahead and get started. All we're going to do is hoop stabilizer and we're going to be ready to go. Okay, so I went ahead and just hooped my stabilizer, so I am all set to go. So I have my design all loaded on my little USB, so I'm going to go ahead and load it into my machine and we will get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to stitch out the placement stitch for our felt. So I'm going to go ahead and really quickly I'm just going to trace, and the reason I'm doing that is because I'm using my Mighty Hoop. I love using my Mighty Hoop, but it did not come with my machine, so you always just trace when you're using a hoop that did not come with your machine. That looks great. I just referenced that laser line to make sure that it did not come near the edges of my hoop. That laser represents the needle, so I just want to make sure that it was not going to come near the edge. And I'll go ahead and stitch out the placement line. Okay, so now we have our little placement line, and I'll hold that up so you can see. It's in a light pink. It doesn't matter really what you use at this point. It's a little hard to see, but there's an outline there, and all we're going to do is we're going to use that as a reference for where we need to place our felt. So I'm just going to put my felt right over that. So I'm going to take my felt, place it right over, giving myself enough room on all sides. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to use my Kimberbell paper tape, and I'm just going to secure that down. That way it doesn't shift at all when moving. Sometimes I don't secure it, sometimes I do. It's really your call, personal preference for this part, but it's a good idea. That way it just secures it, and then now we're going to do our tack down line. All right, so we have our tack down line right there. And now what we're going to do is we are going to trim the felt along this line right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this tape off, and I can save it for a little bit later because we're definitely going to be using it. I'm going to use my Kimberbell scissor set. I've really fallen in love with it lately, and I really, really like it. So I'm going to go ahead and trim. It says do about an eighth of an inch from that tack down line. And I'm just gonna trim, trim, trim. There we go. Doing as clean a job as I can. Okay. And just cleaning up any little area that I think needs it. Okay, but now we have it trimmed. You can go ahead and save any of the pieces that come off of your project for future projects. But there we go, it's all trimmed and we are ready for the next step. So the next step is we're going to stitch that background placement line, and then we are going to place our fabric on next. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and now that I have that little placement stitch done, I'm going to take my background fabric, which is the white for me. Again, you can choose anything that you would like. And I am just going to place that right over. Now, since mine has some lines, I'm going to try to do that as straight as I can. It's because I do have a directional fabric, and then I'm going to go ahead and tape down my fabric. That way it's just nice and secure as it's stitching. Okay, now is going to do the tack down stitch to secure the fabric to my project. Okay, it says now at this time not to do any trimming. You're going to leave the fabric as is. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to stitch the placement stitch for the donut. So I'm going to go ahead and switch out my thread color at this point. You don't have to do it necessarily at this point, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it because I'm going to be needing brown for the next step. And I'm just going to use this really nice color that I think will be really nice with that gingerbread felt. So I'm going to go ahead and just switch that out, and then I will stitch out the next placement stitch. Okay, so now we have our stitch line for our donut, and you can see it right there. I'm going to hold it up just so that you can see it a little bit better, but that's just showing us exactly where we need to place our gingerbread colored felt piece for our donut. It seems weird saying gingerbread along with donut, but in fact it kind of sounds like it could be good though, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just place that right over there. I'll probably piece a little bit more tape right on there as well. I am an over adhesive person, and that is just fine because you know what? The tape is not that expensive and it's cheaper than having to start over. So I just like everything to be exactly where it needs to be. Okay, now I'm going to do the tack down stitch to secure the felt to my project. Okay, so there is our cute little donut all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and take my tape off, and then I'm going to trim. So it just says to trim the felt as desired. And so I'm just going to use I really like the little snips that come in the little Kimberbell set. I really like all of the scissors, but I find that I grab and gravitate towards these the most. So I'm just going to, this is going to be the final stitch, the stitch that it just did, that tack down stitch. So you want to make sure that you take your time here and do as neat of a job because this will be shown. This is going to be a visible stitch. So usually if you have a satin stitch coming next, you can do whatever you'd like. And as long as you get it close enough, you're good. But you want to make sure, since this is going to be a visible part of your project, that you just take your time here. Sometimes that felt wants to fray a little bit too, so just trying to keep it as clean as I can. But I love the idea of the felt for the donut. I really think that that's super, super cute. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab my lint roller. If you notice, some of the felt kind of comes off, and I just like to keep everything as clean as possible, so a lint roller comes in handy. Now I will say I do not run the lint roller on my felt because then it can kind of pull at it. So I just kind of run it around it or near the edges just so that I can clean up where my little cut lines are, or if any of the little pieces kind of, you know, the little fuzz pieces got off there, then it just kind of keeps that nice and clean. But don't run it over your felt because it will just kind of make a mess of it. Okay, so there we go. Now I actually was going to forget, but we need to go and do the middle. So I'm just going to pierce that carefully, and then I'll take my time cutting out that center piece as well. Okay. I love the variety of things that are on this disc as well. So like I said, I really want to work my way through the little projects. They're just all really, really cute. I think there's one for graduation and then one for Father's Day. But you'll have to take a look at the CD. I'll link all of the things that I'm using down below. That way you can, actually I think that looks pretty clean on the inside. Okay, that way you can find everything you need to do this yourself. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty good. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our frosting. And again, it does call for embroidery leather, but you can make your own rules and you can do anything you want with your project. So I'm going to go ahead and use this really pretty fabric. Again, I did back it with that fusible backing like you did see me do with my iron, and we're going to go ahead and get this done. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to stitch out the placement stitch. That will show us where to place down our fabric, and then we will do the tack down stitch to secure the fabric to our project. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and place my fabric right over the area, and I'm going to tape that down. And at this point I will change out my thread color because this will be visible on my project and I want it to be pink at this point. So I'll go ahead and change that out, and then we will do the tack down stitch. Okay, there we go. There's our little donut with the placement stitch, and now we can trim. So removing my tape. It's very much lather, rinse, and repeat, as all applique is. So now I want to be careful here because I don't want to ruin my felt as I'm cutting. So I want to make sure that I'm just very mindful of what's underneath. So I'm just going to make sure that I don't, you know, jab my scissors down too far to where I'm going to either scratch or snag my felt. But now I'm just going to trim my little frosting layer. And it says trim as desired. Again, this is going to be the final stitch here, so you want to do a neat job. I think the fabric choice that I selected was definitely the right choice. I love that. I love the idea of doing the embroidery leather as well. I do a lot of leather projects on my embroidery machine and I love how they turn out. It just, the color was just not working for me. I just felt like it wasn't a good enough match. And I also like that this fabric brought a little print into the piece, and I thought it was fun with this little damask stripe. So go ahead and do whatever you'd like. Again, that fusible backing is just making this trim portion so easy. Okay, so we have this so far. It looks really, really nice and clean. And then I'm going to go ahead and carefully get a little piece up in the middle so that I can, looks like I got just the fabric, so I need to go through the fabric and my fusible backing. I love the idea of in the hoop projects. It's one of my favorite things about having an embroidery machine. It's just so gratifying to build upon layers and layers, and it's just really fun to at the end have some, you know, dimensional item come off of the machine. I love it. And this is just the cutest little gift idea. Okay, carefully without, again, I'm actually going to probably take a little piece off. I really, again, don't want to disrupt that felt, but I do want to get some of those little pieces off and just clean up any of the little threads and keep the project nice and neat. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there is our final little donut and frosting. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, sorry, I have a couple little pieces and I know it's going to bother my eye if I don't fix it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sprinkles. And what's fun is it actually looks kind of like it has some sprinkles now just with the pattern that I chose, but we're going to do some additional sprinkles. We'll do them in white, baby blue, and yellow. But again, go ahead and make the color choices that you wish. so the sprinkles are all done, and now what we're going to do is we are going to do the wording. So I'll show you a close-up of the sprinkles in just a moment, but while we're here, I'm going to change out my blue thread like I just did, and we're going to do the I donut know what, and we'll get that part done, and then we'll switch out our thread color and do some additional wording towards the bottom. Okay, how cute is this? It is so sweet. I just love all the little details, and the stitching for the font and the words are just beautiful. So now what we're going to do is we are going to trim our fabric. And again, because we have the felt right underneath, I'm just going to be very mindful that I don't want to snag or hurt my felt. Now the next step is going to be a satin stitch over this fabric line. So you know, you want to trim as close as you can, but don't worry about it being perfectly straight because it's going to be covered with a satin stitch. So I'm just going to trim really quickly, again being mindful of my scissors. And that fusible backing really makes trimming just so easy. That's just nice and stiff fabric, and it's just very, very ideal. Also, I have to give myself a pat on the back because I got these stripes just perfect. So they are that just really does wonders for the eye when that works out that way. Sometimes it sure does not. Okay. Last little bit right here, and now we'll return it to the machine. I'm going to do my satin stitch in white, and then after the satin stitch is done around this fabric piece, it's going to go into the decorative top stitch, and I am so obsessed with decorative top stitch. I think it's the most beautiful little detail. So I'm going to do my decorative top stitch over the satin stitch in that baby blue. I think that'll be beautiful. So I'll go ahead and do those next two steps, and then we will do the next couple steps. Okay, so I just did the satin stitch and the decorative stitch, and now I'm going to just stitch really quickly the little ribbon placement guides, and I'm just going to use that same baby blue that's already loaded because it's pretty close to the actual ribbon I have. So it's just going to give us two little lines, and then it will help us line up our ribbon so that I can stitch it down. Okay, so here we are so far. It's looking really, really nice. So we have our satin stitch, and then we have that really nice decorative stitch right down the middle of it in the blue. And then the next thing we're going to do is we did that little ribbon placement stitch. So we're going to get our ribbon right on there. So I have my ribbon, and I'm just going to fold it in half. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the folded end right in the middle of those two lines. So let me hold that up. I have my folded piece of ribbon, and the folded end right here I'm going to place right in the center of those two lines. So there's the two lines. I'm going to place this right in the center. Okay, so I'm going to place that right there. And then what I'm going to do is once I have that right in the center, I'm going to open it up so that each side goes to the right and to the left. And then what I'll do is I'll just tape those sides down. Actually, I have some extra tape over here. And actually, I'm going to try not to get that over my felt because, again, it can kind of make it fray. Okay, so now I have my ribbon over those two placement lines centered. tape down, and now it's going to do another stitch, and it's going to secure our ribbon in place. Okay, so we have the front of our hoop here, and we have our little stitches that have secured that ribbon. Now what I'm going to do is take that tape off, but I'm going to take the ribbon and I am going to make sure that I bunch it up in the middle and tape it down. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place the back of our pocket on the underside of the hoop. And then it's going to stitch around. So if you had your ribbon going, you know, to the right and left, it's going to stitch your ribbon down, and then it's not going to work in the end. So I have it all secured in the middle of my little heartfelt pocket there. And whoops, I just put it over that felt, but hopefully it'll be okay. Try to avoid that. Okay, now I'm going to turn this over. And what I'll do is I have 2 pieces of remaining felt. I'm going to make sure that they are lined up as best as I can. And I'm going to place 2 pieces over the back side. So I'm going to just reference where my design is here. And I'm going to place the remaining 2 pieces over that. And you definitely want 2 pieces. When I first did my first one, I accidentally didn't read the directions and I only did 1 piece, and it's pretty floppy. It doesn't ruin it because I end up putting greeting cards in my little pocket and that stiffens it up, but you definitely want to do the 2 pieces on the back. So peeking underneath there, I just want to make sure that I'm covering my little placement lines. Okay. And using plenty of tape on this back side. Make sure that doesn't shift, because now what we're going to do is we're going to put it upside down so that you really want it secure, so that when you place it upside down it doesn't fall off or anything. So that looks good to me. Now we're going to go put it back on the machine, and it will stitch all the way around, which will secure the underside felt to the top and make it all one project. Okay, here it is. It looks really, really good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape off, and then I can unhoop my project. All of the stitching is done. There we go. Okay, now I can take my hoop off and remove my stabilizer. Okay, so now I am just removing my stabilizer, and you're also going to want to remove the stabilizer from, let me take the tape off the back here, that'll help, the inside of the pocket, but I'll show you how easy that is in just a moment. Okay, there we go. And I made a little tiny oopsie on my project, and I didn't quite get my felt all the way over on this side. Plus it kind of pulled in a little bit when it was stitching, so you can see that it didn't quite get over there. But you know what? If I was going to make one mistake or oopsie on this project, that's exactly where I want it to be, because you'll see why in the end. So while it can be frustrating to make a mistake, it also can be a blessing when the mistake is in the exact spot that it needs to be in. So I'm going to go ahead and just gently grab my stabilizer from this middle part and take it off and just tear it away. This is why you want a good tear away. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, being very careful of my ribbon here. In fact, I probably can just leave that taped in the center for one more moment, because I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim around the edge. Now you could also use some pinking shears. That would be really cute as well, and do like a little zigzag. I like to just have a nice straight little edge, but go ahead and take that additional step if you want to have a little fun edge. You're just going to trim around maybe about 1/8 of an inch from that final little stitch line. revealing your final pocket. Okay, so I have my whoopsie down here, which does make me sad, but now I'm going to bring in my cute little container here. I'm going to place it right here, and look, you don't even see the whoopsie because it's in the perfect spot. If you were going to make a whoopsie, it should be right there. Okay, so I'm just going to tie, and you can fill your little clear container with anything you'd like. Again, I'll link the ones I got down below. I got quite a few in a pack, and they'll make for some fun projects elsewhere as well. Oh, I think that's really, really fun and cute. Okay, so there is our final pocket. How sweet is that? And now it also does hold a perfect A2 size card, so you can slip that in there as well. It'd be fun to put, you know, gift cards or anything in there. Let me know down in the comments below what you would put in these little heartfelt pockets. I'd love to hear your ideas as well. And I really, really think this turned out very, very great. I love the back. It's just nice and simple and really fun. I really just think that this turned out just so great. And I can't wait to give this to somebody I love. So the other one that I made is I made the Quilting Friends Keep You in Stitches, and I thought that was really fun. Again, it would hold an A2 size card, and then you could stick some little fat quarter fabric pieces in here. I put buttons in this particular container just to kind of fit with the theme. I thought that was really fun. But so far I've only made 2 of the 12 designs, but I cannot wait to stitch my way through all of the designs. They're all just so sweet and so cute. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was helpful, and I really hope you give this a try as well. So let me know if you've done one of these or if you are going to give one a try next, and I really hope you enjoyed this. So be sure to subscribe if you're brand new here, and I will see you in the next video.